Hi viewers, welcome back to the August edition of a compilation of all the positive news that we take across the world specific to India. And the whole idea is to give you on your platter a lot of positive news so that you can get back and do something productive. This edition we are focusing a lot on the national news because amidst all this hubris of COVID, I think there have been a lot of legislations and a lot of national policy initiatives, and we will also be talking about the policies with respect to states and trends, and these will be the major events that we'll be talking. To start with, one of the very interesting news that has come out is 100% FDI in oil refineries. So the government, we all know, is in the mood to disinvest. In fact, there's a provision for disinvestment in our budget, and as a stopgap, as a first step, they have announced 100% foreign direct investments to be allowed in oil refineries. Now, basically, it will be an as in case in principle approval for strategic divestment of public sector undertaking. The policy will also be applicable for exploration activities on oil and natural gas, infrastructure related to marketing of petroleum product and natural gas, and LNG regasification plants, and any market study related to this. Now, one of the thinking that the government could have based this decision is because this is a capital intensive industry, number one, and we all know the total lifespan of petrol products seems to be on the waning side because the whole world is in a very, very enthusiastic way embracing hydrogen fuel cell technology and the battery operated electric vehicles. So the vehicles which were the major consumption of petroleum products, their consumptions have started waning in a lot of developed countries, and so maybe the government realizes the overall lifespan available for this industry is less, and therefore it makes a lot more sense to squeeze out every little possibility that they have. And it also allows them to divest their holdings in the 3 or 4 public sector undertakings that they have in the already. The Bharat Petroleum has been announced for 100% divestment, and then we have Indian Oil Corporation, Hindustan Petroleum, Oil India Limited, ONGC, a whole plethora of companies. But this is a very positive news because we are sure a lot of the global majors who are waiting outside the wings to come and invest in the lucrative Indian market, which is the fastest growing opportunity for people after China. The second is a very major thought that has been bounced by our chief economic advisor, Mr. K.V. Subramaniam, and he says that it is on the government agenda to rationalize this tax structure in the GST. Now, we all know that we have 5 tax structures, which is at 0.25%, 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%, which is the sin tax kind of a tax structure. And the government is thinking of rationalizing. In my own perspective, I think mostly the GST rates would converge towards 15%, which is the prevalent rates in countries like New Zealand and many other countries, number one. Number two, there's a very high possibility that the petroleum goods are also bought into the GST structure. Maybe for now, alcohol, cigarettes, and anything related to entertainment may be kept outside the purview, so that the states could also be able to tax and then meet their fiscal needs. But this is a very good thought that he has bounced, which means the government is strongly thinking on this line. The next major policy initiative has been that the government has decided to sell fortified rice through ration shops. Now, we know that the poor in India have always been deficient with respect to vitamins and minerals. So one of the earliest initiatives that was started was fortifying salt with iodine. And that was done because many Indians in the interior part of the people who are not on the coastal sides, they were always found to be deficient on iodine, and therefore they had thyroid issues. And that was the first initiative, and slowly they also started fortifying wheat. But now rice from 2024 will be compulsorily fortified with iron, folic acids, and vitamin B12. Now, this is an irony of sort because rice is generally blessed with good amount of vitamin B because the red covering on the rice is usually very rich in vitamin B. But our preference for fairness even in rice has ensured that we polish off every little bit of the red color that we see in rice, and therefore we are generally deficient with respect to vitamin B. and vitamin B, for all we all know, that is a primary source for we being energetic throughout the day. So this is a very good initiative, because still half of India is a rice eating country. So if you see Orissa and the southern states and all the eastern states are still very high rice consumption, or that's their staple food. So the second important thing that has happened after the fortified rice initiative is a government is trying to give a hyper local export push. So that's called as one district one product push. This is an inspiration taken from UP government. UP government sometime back had rolled out this plan, and it had met a good amount of success. And we already know that in India there are some specific areas where there's a cluster of, or something like a geographical tagging. If you see, South Goa is very famous for feni, Muzaffarnagar is famous for lychees, Kolhapur is famous for chappals, and Darjeeling is famous for tea. Now, on the same lines, government has identified Srikakulam for pharma industries, Bharuch for chemicals, Anand for dairy products, and Tiruvallur for tools industry. So they have identified a lot of districts, and they are planning to give a hyper-local push with respect to clustering the industries on these specific areas. The big advantage that will happen is there will be always an availability of good skilled labor pool, and therefore those industries which are focusing on that particular product can thrive, and government will also find it easy to skill the population around that area for that particular industry, and this can lead to a sustained global market and a national market with kind of competence and a constant supply. That's a very good initiative. The next initiative that the government has taken is something that we have been waiting for a long time, is that there is going to be an all India motor vehicle registration number available. So to begin with, we will be, defense personnel and public sector undertaking personnel who are on transferable jobs will be allowed to take this number plate. The number plate will have first two digits will be, the year of, the number plate will read something like 21BH1234AB. Now 21 is the year of manufacture, BH is the Bharat registration. So right now we have state specific registration, like Tamil Nadu has TN, Chandigarh has CH, Delhi has DL. So BH would mean Bharat, and 1234 is the number specific to 1234, and the last two digits, which are these alpha numeral combinations, will be the vehicle specific. Now this is going to solve a lot of headaches for people, because each time when there's a transfer, the state governments, because Motor Vehicle Act is a concurrent list item, so states also have the right to charge you for the registration charges. And usually when you get transferred, you are allowed to use the old registration for a maximum period of 12 months, and within which you will have to re-register. Now taking a Bharat registration will help you not to do that, and therefore the key difference that has been brought into it will allow the owner to pay road tax for every period of 2 years. So earlier there was this concept of lifetime road tax which was being rolled out, but now every people who are having this registration will be able to pay their road tax every 2 years, and at the completion of 14th year the road tax will be levied annually, and therefore the entire process also being available online will not necessitate you to go to an RTO. This, once if it is found successful, this will also be extended, or it is proposed to be extended, to private sector companies which are having offices in more than 6 or 5 locations or 7 locations in states and 4 or more union territories, and this thing. And over a period of time, I have a feeling that this option will be provided to every citizen, which if provided, it makes a lot of sense to take the Bharat registration, because the jobs are all becoming movable going forward from here. Viewers, stay tuned. We will soon come up with the second edition of the same series, August series. We'll come up with a little more and a lot more positive news. Till then, continue to stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.